Hello everyone, this is Stephanie. Welcome to another video. So I'm back. I know it's been a long time. I've been fighting pneumonia for the past 3.5 weeks and I'm feeling a little bit better, so I'm ready to start creating again. So we're going to do the Victoria lace necklace, and it's been a few weeks coming, but it's finally here. So here it is. It's all part of the set, all the Victoria pieces. I'll put a link up in the corner there and in the description box below the video to the Victoria playlist. So if you want to do the earrings or the bracelet, you can do that as well. All right, so I'm going to clear the decks and we'll get started. Okay, let's get our materials list going. So we're going to be doing a bezel, and it's going to be the Interlace Bezel. So if you've done this before, you can go ahead and do that bezel. I've changed it a teeny bit, so actually you might want to wait. Not much. Just, whenever I find something that might make it easier or a little better, and I'm going to show that to you. So the interlace bezel is in the center, and then this is the Victoria lace pattern that's on the sides. And it's a nice little sort of collarish type necklace. So you're going to need some 3mm beads, and I would suggest a round bead. I'm using a little pearl here, and this is that, I think it's called Magic Black, or I just keep forgetting the name of it. It's the one that looks like a gemstone, not the regular black Swarovski pearl. Some 15-0 seed beads, some 11-0, and I just wanted to mention these are the palladium plated, and some of you have asked me about plating on the silver beads, how it rubs off, and you're not really crazy about it. So I'm trying the palladium plated to see if this how this works. So we'll see. You'll need a 13 by 18mm Swarovski fancy stone and an oval. This is what we're going for here. So here I've got one here, this black diamond, some 3mm bicones, some 6mm beads, round beads work here. I have a pearl, and this is a faceted onyx bead. So you can use a combination of two different beads, all one color. Here we have the 3mm pearls here. So let me pop these over there. Then we need some 4mm pearls. This is just for part of the necklace area here. You'll need some 4mm bicones, again for the necklace area. You'll need some of these little 3 by 3.4mm Miyuki Drops. I've just put this on the bottom here of the necklace to give it a little bit of, just a little nice edging here. You can maybe use a dagger if you want it to, be a little more dramatic. I've got an 8mm Swarovski round crystal for my clasp. I'm just doing a loop and crystal closure. Little stop bead, if I can find one. I'll just put that as a stop bead for now. I'm using a size 11 beading needle. You should have a 12 handy, just in case, because we're going through some 15-0s. Some 8-pound Fireline black satin. Everything, including where I purchased all my beads, will be in the description box below the video, so please don't forget to check down there. So click the show more, the down arrow. You know the drill. Check for the discount codes. Check for any info that, might be interesting down there. So don't forget to do that. All right, also don't forget to like and subscribe if you'd like to subscribe. And I will see you in a minute and we'll get started. Okay, let's get started. So thread your needle with about 40 inches of thread. Put on a stop bead and leave about an 8-inch tail, just to sew in. So we're doing the interlace bezel. So we're going to pick up a 3mm bicone and 4 11-0 seed beads. Just like that. I'm going to drop them down to my stop bead. I'm going to sew through the first 11-0 past the bicone. To make that into a little right angle weave unit right next to that bicone. Pick up a 3mm bicone, 4 11-0s, drop those down to that previous unit, sew through the first 11-0 past the bicone. When you do this, you want to make sure that, first of all, that it turns into a unit, a little right angle weave unit, and you see how there's a little space there? You want to make sure you take it and you just pull it with your thumb so it's right smack up against that bicone because this is the front of your bezel. You don't want any thread showing. All right, so that's all you're going to do. You're going to pick up a 3mm, we'll do it one more time, and 4 11/0s. Drop those down. Sew through the first 11/0 past the bicone. Make that into a unit. And then make sure that unit is right up against the previous unit, just like that. So you're going to do this until you have 12 bicones on and 12 little right angle weave units. And then meet back here and we'll make it into a circle. All right, see you in a few. Okay, we're back and I have my 12 units on. And now I'm going to make this into a circle. So I've just pulled my stop bead out of the way. And this one bicone is loose because that's the very first one we put on. So now I'm just going to take my needle and I'm going to sew through all the 3mm bicones and the 11/0s to make that into a circle. So I'm going to come all the way around. You don't have to, pull it so tight that it bends out of shape, but just snug enough so there's no thread showing. We'll be tightening this bezel a bit as we go along. Just going to keep sewing around till I pass the stop bead in my tail by a few beads. Doesn't really matter how many, but you want to come out of an 11/0. So I'm just going to come out here. Like that. Now I'm going to sew through, so I'm coming out of this 11/0 right here. I'm just going to sew through this side 11/0 and through the top 11/0. So this is where, after I've sewn through my circle, this is where I'm coming out. So I'm just going to let you get to that point, and then we'll come on back. Okay. So now I'm going to pick up a 15/0, a 3mm bicone, and a 15/0, coming out of this bead right here. I'm just going to sew through the top seed bead of the next unit. Like that. And so here's where I changed from the old bezel a little bit. So originally we did a 15/0, an 11/0, and a 15/0, and we sewed through the next seed bead, the top seed bead of the next unit. I'm just going to use all 15/0s here, but I'm going to put a black 15/0 in the middle just so it's easy for you to see the next step. You do them all the same color. So 3 15/0s. So through the next top seed bead of the next unit. This is just going to make it a tiny bit tighter. So 15/0, 3mm, 15/0. Exiting here, sew through that top seed bead of the next unit. We're just going to alternate all the way around. So 3 15/0s. Top seed bead of the next unit. Move that out of the way. And so on. 15/0, 3mm, 15/0. Exiting this 11/0, sew through the next one. And you're just going to do that all the way around. Get to the one before your last one, and then we'll close it together. All right, see you in a minute. Okay, we're back. So let's get our last group of beads on. So it's going to be the 3 15/0s. So I'm just going to first sew through that 11/0. So there's the top seed bead of the next unit. And now see, when you pull a little bit, it kind of cups it up a little bit. So now I'd want to advance my needle to this bead. And this bead, the little black one, is the center bead between the next two bicones. So this bicone and this bicone, it's the center bead. That's why I put a black one on so you could see where I'm talking about. So you're coming out of this 11-0, so we'll go through them. Sew through the 15-0, the bicone, the 15-0. The next 11-0, 15-0, and next 15-0. That's going to sit you right in the middle, that middle 15-0, in between the two bicones. See that? And those are those beads are the beads we're going to work with all the way around. All right, so now I have to pull out a little bit. Okay. So this is where you want your thread coming out. Now you're going to pick up 5 15-0s, and you're going to skip all the beads and sew through that center 15-0 between the next two bicones. That's the one we're working with the whole time. This one right here. So you have 5 15-0s on your needle, sewing through. Pick up 5 15-0s. Do that again. Exiting here, sew through this one. I mean, if you haven't started yet and you're just, looking through the video, maybe do exactly what I did. Put that black one in between when you get to that point in the bezel, and that way you have a marker. But you shouldn't have too much trouble seeing it. So we have 2 groups of 5. Now you want 6 15-0s. Do the same thing, coming out of here. Just sew through that middle 15-0 between the next two bicones. Pick up 5 15-0s. Do that again. Just sewing through that middle seed bead between the next two bicones. Five again. 5 15-0s. Do that again. Sew through the middle seed bead between the next two bicones. And the last one is going to be 6 15-0s. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you're going to sew through that next 15-0 between the two bicones. I'll just get my needle in there at this point. Ouch. Just open that up a little bit. Come on, you. Sorry, guys. There we go. Okay. It's really not that tight. I'm just couldn't see it. All right, so there's 6. All right, and what that does, and don't pull it too tight, is it's making it into a rectangle. You see how by putting two 5 bead units here and 2 6 here, it's just sort of giving it a little bit more length. And now I'm just going to open it up a little bit. It looks all wonky and crazy right now. I'm going to put my bezel in. So just kind of, open it up and kind of just, if it's too tight, just move it with your fingers like that. We're going to tighten it up. Pop in your stone. So this is the back we're doing right now. It should pop in. Perfect. Okay. You want it snug. We're going to really tighten this up. It looks all wonky and crazy right now. So when you're putting this in, and we're going to tighten it a bit, I want you to place it a certain way if you haven't done this interlace bezel before. So when you look at it this way in the front, you really want it to look like there's a rectangle around it. So you really have to make sure you place your stone in the right place. And there'll be a couple of times that you can play with this a little bit. So when you look on the back of your stone, you have this facet coming straight through the back, like that. You want that black bead, that center bead, that little 15-0, all lined up with this facet, and it's going to start to move, so you just really have to be very mindful that this is in the right place. So hold it with your finger, and you want to sew around all the beads you just put on. So I'm going through the next 5/15-ohs, and then this black one, or just the corner one, the next 5/15-ohs, and do this slowly, and just make sure that your facet is staying in the right place, because it will move. You can play with it. You'll be able to, do one of these so that you get it in the right place. And believe me, this will be worth it in the end, because you'll have a beautifully placed bezel. So keep going around, just sew through all the beads until you get back up to the top, and just, play with it so that when you look in the front, your rectangle is, sort of framing. You can see it a little bit better with this bezel, is framing that oval stone. All right, so get that done. Meet me back here and we'll continue. Okay, we're back, and I replaced my stone with a white stone so you can see better how it's supposed to look. So it should just look just like that. And the way I got that was just by sewing around the back. I mean, it's all wonky to begin with, and it looks like this doesn't fit. This is a mess, but once you sew around the back, you can even sew around twice. It tightens up, and you just make sure that your bead is right in line with that back facet, and it'll be beautiful. Then I want you to take off the stop bead on the front, sew through your entire front bezel. Make sure you're not racking it out. You're always very mindful that your rectangle is in the right place. Believe me, I know it's a pain. This is a little bit of a pain bezel, but it's so pretty, to make this sort of rectangle out of an oval. What you can do also, and then you're going to, after you sew around the front, you're going to just sew your threads in, and just always be mindful that your stone is placed properly. And if you really want to, and because maybe it's feeling a little loose to you, depending on how tight you weave, you can actually, so I'm coming out of this black bead here, you can actually sew through this 15-oh, 11-oh, 15-oh bicone, then this group through here again, and you can really tighten up all those bicones if you like. I'm not going to do it. You can if you want. It might make you feel more secure depending how tight you bead, but once you do the back like that, and then you tighten it up, it should be just fine. All right, so I'm going to let you play with that bezel for a while and get it to where it looks really good. And like I said, just take your time, and don't worry about it. It will tighten up. So, like I said, it's a little bit of a pain, but it's really worth it in the end. All right, so get that done, and then we will start on this part of the necklace. All right, see you in a few. Okay, we're back, and the bezel is done, and I hope that went well for you. So now we're going to work on the sides. So this is what we're going for. We're going to do this center piece down here. So we're going to use the Victoria pattern, and we're going to make 2 pieces that are 8 units long. We're going to ultimately have 9 units, but the 9th unit we're going to sew directly to the bezel. So that's how it's going to be. All right, so let me move this out of the way. So this is what we're going for. So thread about 5 feet of thread to your needle, and then I want you to pull in, put on a 3mm pearl, a 15-oh, 11-oh, a 15-oh. And I want you to repeat that until you have 4 3mm pearls and 4 groups of the 3 seed beads. So 15-oh, 11-oh, 15-oh, just like that. Drop those down to your stop bead. Sew through the first 3mm past your stop bead. I want you to continue sewing through the 3 seed beads. Skip the pearl. Sew through the next 3 seed beads. For those of you who haven't done this, I'm skipping the pearl, and skipping the pearl kind of makes it pop up a little bit. Gives a nice little, makes a little frame out of the unit. So skip the pearl, sew through the next 3 seed beads. See, I'm pushing it up with my finger. And don't worry about it, you can adjust this when we're done with the unit. Skip the pearl, sew through the next 3 seed beads. Move my stop bead. One more time, skip the pearl, sew through the next 3. Giving that a little pull. Now I'm going to sew directly through the pearl, the next pearl, just like that. See? And at this point you can pull your tail thread a little bit and your other thread, and that's what you come out with. This little, sort of, it's a little rigid, it's kind of like a little frame. Then I'm going to pick up one of my 6mm beads, using a silver pearl here, exiting this pearl. I'm going to sew through the top of the pearl on the other side, just to place that bead right in the center. Then I'm going to sew through the next 3 seed beads and the pearl, just like that. Alright, so I'm just going to stop there and let you get to this point, and then I'll show you how to add another unit on. Alright, see you in a minute. Okay, we're back, so let's add another unit on. So you're exiting this little pearl, so I want you to put on your needle. So we're using this pearl, so we don't need to add a pearl. You're going to put on a 15-0, 11-0, a 15-0, a pearl, 15-0, 11-0, 15-0, a pearl, 15-0, 11-0, 15-0, a pearl, and a 15-0, 11-0, 15-0. So you have 4 groups of the seed beads, but only 3 pearls. Okay. Exiting here, just sew through the other side of that bead. I'm going to do the same thing we did before. Just sew through the seed beads. Skip the pearl, sew through the next 3 seed beads, skip the pearl, sew through the next 3 seed beads, skip the pearl, sew through the next 3, skip the pearl, sew through the next 3. I'm going to pop those out a little bit. And now at this point, we're going to sew right through the pearl. I'm going to pick up another one of my 6mm beads, exiting here. I'm just going to sew through the other side, the top pearl of the other side. I'm alternating. You can use the same color, it doesn't really matter. Like that. I'm going to sew through the next 3 seed beads and the pearl to put my needle in position to add more beads on. Now I have 2 units on. So you're going to repeat this step until you have 8 units on. Alternating or same color in the center, doesn't matter. So get that done, meet me back here, and we'll continue. Okay, we're back. So let's attach to the bezel. So we're going to create a unit as we attach to the bezel. So here are my 2 pieces. So this is where we're going. So pick up a 15-0, 11-0, a 15-0. So just to backtrack for a minute, you're coming out of the 3mm pearl here on one side. And at this point you want to decide which color bead you want to put here. I've worked it out so that I have a black one on either side. I don't think it looks good if you have a black here and a silver here. I like, it's more even and looks better this way. So that's how I'm going to do it. So a 15-0, 11-0, 15-0, 3mm, 15-0, 11-0, 15-0. This is what I have on my needle. So let me pull in a little bit. Now I'm going to sew through just the bicone that's on the side of the bezel. See that? And then a 15-0, 11-0, 15-0, a 3mm, and a 15-0, 11-0, and a 15-0. Oops. So I have a 15-0, 11-0, 15-0, the 3, and then a 15-0, 11-0, 15-0. I'm going to sew through that original pearl right there. Now I have the start of my unit. I'm just going to hold the bezel, and I'm going to do the same thing I've done before. Sew through the 3 15-0s, the next 3 15-0s, skip the pearl, sew through the next 3 15-0s, and on this I'm going to go right back. I'm not going to skip that 3mm, the bicone. I'm going to go right through it, like that. Now I'm going to sew through the next 3 seed beads, skip the pearl, sew through the next 3, skip the pearl, sew through the next 3, and the pearl if you can get it. Going right through that pearl. See, now we have our unit on. Now I'm going to pick up my 6mm, sitting here, sew through this one. Just like that. Sew through the 3 seed beads, the next 3 seed beads, the bicone, going around again, the next 3, and the pearl, oops, and the pearl. And I just want you to leave it at this point. So now you have this, you have attached one side on. Still have thread left, so we can use that. Now do the other side. The same exact way. Remember, I put a black one here. And then meet me back here and we'll continue. Okay, we're back. So I have both my ends sewn on, and now we're going to do some of this embellishment on the sides. Alright, so I have my thread coming out of one of these bottom little 3mm pearls. So you're going to grab your the 3.4mm Miyuki Drops, or dagger, whatever. You can put whatever you want on the bottom. I just did the little drop just to give it a little, you know, I don't know, I thought it looked pretty with the drop on the bottom. Alright, so you can use the thread that's left on your needle. You should have a good, probably 1.5 foot or so of thread. We'll add thread, but might as well use it up. So I'm going to pick up a 15-0, a 3mm, a 15-0. I'm going to pick up a drop. So what we're going to do here is we're going to add these units on, but they're going to alternate. So you want to make sure every time you add a unit on here that you're putting a drop in as the center bead. So here I have a 15-0, a 3mm, a 15-0, a drop, a 15-0, a 3mm, and a 15-0. This is what I have on my needle. I'm exiting this pearl. I'm just going to sew through the other side of that same pearl. You know, you're just establishing at this point where the bottom of your necklace is. So I'm making this the bottom, so I'm putting that little drop on the bottom. So you want to make sure that drop is going to be each time, but we're alternating. So the next one I do is going to be here. I'm going to sew through these beads till I get to the top of this pearl. So here I'm just going to sew through the next 3 seed beads. The pearl. And if you need to change to a size 12 beading needle to get through easier, you can do that. The next 3. Right now my 11 is doing all right. Oops. And the pearl. And because this is going to be the top part that's going around my neck, I'm just going to use all 3mm pearls in my embellishment. So 15-0, 3mm, 15-0, 3mm, 15-0, 3mm, and a 15-0. Like that. I'm exiting here. I'm just going to sew around the other side. I'm going to cross. I want to get down to this pearl now, so I'm going to sew through the seed beads. The pearl. I'm just moving my piece around to make it easy for me to sew through the next 3 seed beads, and the pearl if you can get it. If you can't, then just go through them separately. And through the pearl. I'll show you what we have at this point. So here we are. We have that first, the top one, and then this bottom one. And now we're going to add a bottom one on again. 15-0, pearl, 15-0, drop, 15-0, pearl, 15-0. Exiting here, I'm going to sew through the other side. And I'm going to come across to this bead, so I'm going to work my way across. Through the seed beads, through the pearl. Through the next 3 seed beads. Again, moving my piece to make it easier. And the pearl. And here, let me turn it this way. Okay. So now I have my next unit on, and you see how it's zigzagging across, and then we're gonna come back and fill in the spaces. So at this point, you're going to put on, for the top of the necklace, just the 3mm and the 15-0s. Then you're going to come to here and so on. And then at the end, meet me back here, and you'll either have to add thread or we'll just turn around and fill in. All right, see you in a few. Okay, so I've done this first set of units, and now, so I've added my last unit on. All you want to do, if you have enough thread, you can just sew through these 3, through this pearl, till you get to this one. So you through these 3 seed beads, and then you're going to start again here. Put your unit on, come across, put your unit on, come across, put your unit on, and so on. If you need, now I'm about out of thread, so I'm going to add thread, I'm not going to do it on the video, but I will leave a link to my adding thread video up there in the corner and in the description box below the video. So simple. All I do is add a thread. You know, I thread my needle, I put a stop bead on, and I just go back a few beads, and I make sure I come out of the same place that my thread is coming out, and then I continue. But check that out. It's very easy. And then, just as I said, finish those, and then do the exact same thing on this side. And then meet me back here, and we'll continue. See you in a few. Here we're back, and here we're all done. Now we're going to do the top part of the necklace to make it curve, and the ends here. So, thread your needle with about 40 inches of thread. It's a little generous. You know, you want to also check your, your neck size, because you have to go through here, and then you have to put 2 ends on. You know, the ends have to come here, so it goes around your neck. So 40 inches seems to work out. My necklace is about 17.5 inches long. Put on a stop bead, and you want to leave about a 14-inch tail, because that stop bead is going to go right here, and then after the stop bead is where you're going to string your necklace portion. All right, so just make sure you have enough. I think 14 inches is generous, and it gives me enough to do the sides and add the clasp. So I'm just going to take my needle, and I'm going to sew through that first 15-0 and the 3 millimeter at the top of that end unit, right there. Not the other 15-0, just the 15-0 and the 3 millimeter. It's going to place my stop bead here. Here's where my necklace is going to go. And then what I did is I laid out my beads. And you could use your, your bead tray for this if you like. Let me pull out a little bit. So I'm just going to, instead of going from here so I don't put my hand across the camera, I'm just going to go in this direction. So what I'm going to put on is a 15-0, a 4 millimeter bicone, and a 15-0. So let's do that. 15-0, 4 millimeter, 15-0. I'm just going to sew through the top 3 millimeter, not the 15-0s, just that 3 millimeter. See that? The next unit, and then I'm going to pick up a 15-0, a 3 millimeter bicone, and a 15-0. Now you could choose any bead you like here. I'm just going to sew through the next, that pearl at the top of that next unit. And I'm just going to alternate. Then I'll go back here, 15-0, 4 millimeter, 15-0, 15-0, sew through this top one, 15-0, 3 millimeter, 15-0. That works really well for the curve for me. However, if you get it done and the curve isn't sitting nicely on your neck, you can adjust the size. You can put 2 4 millimeters. You can do 2 3 millimeters. That's where you can adjust it a little bit to make it fit perfectly on your neck. All right, so get this part done up to the bezel, and then come on back and we'll get through the bezel together. Okay, we're back. So I'm happy with my curve now. So I'm going to put on the last group before the stone. So 15-0. 4 millimeter bicone, and I apologize, and a 15-0. Apologize if my voice keeps going in and out. That's just the progression of this of pneumonia. It just keeps coming and going. All right, so I have a 15-0, a 4 millimeter bicone, and a 15-0. I'm just going to sew through the 3 millimeter bicone that's on my bezel. See how nice that is? That's going to place it right on there. But now I don't want to go straight across to the other side. I'm going to turn my piece over. So I'm coming out of the bicone right there. I'm just going to sew through these seed beads to get to the other side. So here, here, here. So the 15-0, the 11-0, the 15-0. This bead here. The 15-0. These 3 seed beads here. So I'm just working my way over to the other bicone. Through here, through the bicone. And then when I turn it over, I haven't put any more additional thread over the top of this, so it keeps the integrity of the bezel really nicely. And then I'm just going to continue on. So because I have a big bicone here, I'm going to put the big bicone there again. So 15-0, 4 millimeter, 15-0, just sewing through that top bead, like that. 15-0, 3mm, 15-0, through the next one. And then when I kind of put everybody in place, it's looking really beautiful. All right, so what we're going to do now is you're just going to continue with your sequence all the way down. And at this point, what I've done is I've just strung the same sequence that's along here. So I just looked from here and I laid that sequence out. So whatever you have up here, just continue it. It looks pretty when you just continue it all the way. So it looks like one continuous piece. So just, get your sequence of this top row and continue it all the way down till about to your clasp. So, my clasp here is probably about an inch altogether, half an inch on either side. So get that whole side done. And then you're just going to take off your stop bead and you're going to do the other side. You're just going to continue the sequence, this top sequence, you're going to continue it all the way down. I mean, you could change it if you want. I just think it looks pretty when it's continuous. All right? So get that done. That'll take you a little bit of time. But get that done and then meet me back here. We'll put the clasp on. All right, see you in a few. Okay, we're back. So how many of you messed up at least once? I did twice. Even though I laid all my beads out, I still messed up my sequence. Anyway, so here we're done to this point. So now we're going to get the crystal end of the clasp on. So I have this very simple little ending here. I mean, it's probably not the best ending in the world. I mean, it's strong and all that. It's probably maybe not the prettiest. If you have a better ending, I say go for it. So I've ended on a 4mm bicone. It really doesn't matter where you end at this point. So I put on my needle, a 15-0, a 3mm, 4 15-0s, the clasp bead, and 3 15-0s. Move everybody over. This is what I have on. I'm just going to skip the 3, sew through the big bead, the 8mm, and the 15-0 underneath. Give it a little pull. You don't want to rack it out. Pick up 3 15-0s, a pearl, and a 15-0. I know this is weird. That's why I'm saying if you have a better way of doing it, please do. Okay, I'm going to sew through this 15-0 under that first 3mm pearl that's on my necklace part. And then I'm going to give it a pull so that it kind of comes out like that. That's just the way, one way of getting it on. I mean, there are lots of ways. And then I'm going to sew through everybody again. All the beads. And you want to pull at this point. And if it's loose, you don't have to worry about this side because you can adjust it from the other side. So I'm just sewing through all the beads. I'm going to come down on the other side, like that. I'm running out of thread. Only because when I messed up putting on my sequence, I had to cut my thread. So I'm going to come through the same 2 beads like that. And that's going to sort of set those beads into place. And then you can sew through everybody again. And, to where you feel it's secure. And then just come down here and tie a couple of half-hitch knots so that you're on nice and securely. Like I said, maybe it's not the best ending. I've done better, but I'll just show you how to do it anyway. All right, so get that done. Meet me back here, and we'll do the other side. All right, see you in a minute. Okay, we're back, so let's get the other side done. Now, I decided that I wasn't really all that crazy about this, so I'm going to show you a different way on this side. So you can always, switch it and do it the way I'm going to do it now. I can't take that one out now, so. All right, so I'm going to pick up 2 11-0 seed beads. I'm going to drop them down, so I'm coming out of that 4mm bicone. All right, I'm going to pick up 2 more 11-0s. I'm just going to come back up through the 2 11-0s that I put on. I know it's a little wacky, You know, and that's going to give me sort of this little unit. And I'm going to go through the unit again. So I'm going to come down these two. I'm going to come back up these two. And don't worry, we're going to attach it to the bicone in a minute. And then I'm going to put a number of beads on to make a loop. So on the original one, I alternated 15-0s and 11-0s. So I'm going to do that. I'm not sure why I did it because I got sick right after that. So you can just use all 15-0s, all 11-0s. You just want to make sure that it's going to fit around your bead. The reason I'm not giving you a number is because your bead closure may be different than mine. So here I have a number of beads on. And I just want to make it into a little circle to see. That looks like it's going to fit. Then I'm just going to sew right through the 2 seed beads, those 2 11-0s. Okay, now I'm going to come through the bicone like that. I'm going to give myself a little half hitch knot and turn around. So make sure your beads are all even and they're, you don't have any spaces. So here's my little half hitch knot, and as I get tighter I'll show you where I'm going to tie it. So I'm going to tie it right here between that 15-0 and the 4mm, like that. I'm going to go back up through all my beads. That looks like it's a little small, so I'm not going to tie it off yet. So just make sure that your bead fits through there. I probably could have used another 2. Let me just see if it'll fit. Okay, it just makes it, so it's not bad. You don't want it too tight because you want to make sure that you're not stretching it out. I might have put a couple more beads on that. So then just keep going around and come through here. Here's the other side. It's a little different. I mean, I think it looks fine, but if you want to just switch it so that this and this look exactly the same, you could definitely do that. All right, so get that done. And actually, before we go on, I'm just, the video is getting so long that I'm just going to talk you through this part. So we have to do this. Very simple. You've got a thread coming out here. If not, you'll add one. You've got a thread coming out here. You're just going to put a needle on the end, and you're going to put your sequence on here. So here I have a 4mm, a 3mm bicone, and then I'm going to just graduate it until I get to one of the beads, and I'm just going to sew through one of the beads on this part, and then I'm going to put a knot there so that it knots it on, and then it gives it a nice this little finish on the side. So just put a sequence of beads, and wherever your needle ends up over here, that's where you go. That's the bead you're going to go through, and then put a few half hitch knots in. All right? I hope that was okay. All right, so I'm going to get that done. Come on back, and we'll look at our necklaces. Okay, we're back, and here are our necklaces. I'm redoing the sides on this one, but I just wanted to put the hematite one out anyway. I love how this one came out. I love that just sparkle of blue. Here's the bracelet to go with that. I think it came out great. It was a long video. It's because we did the entire bezel, so it made it that much longer. I mean, you can always just break it up into parts and just do it a little at a time. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm so happy to be back, and I will see you on the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.